We did speak to Defence Minister Anita Anand earlier today about a couple of pieces of the news that Karina was just telling us about there. In particular, that missile air defense system that Ukraine had been waiting for. Here's my conversation with Defence Minister Anita Anand. Minister, we know that this air defense system is something that Ukraine needs desperately. How soon do you expect the system will actually be in use in Ukraine?
Well, first of all, we're very pleased to be able to be donating surface-to-air missile system to Ukraine after purchasing it from the United States, which is what I announced today, for approximately $400 million. And we are working with the United States to get it to Ukraine as soon as possible, just like all of the other equipment and material that we have donated to date: Carl Gustaf anti-tank weapon systems, M777s, ammunition for both. This is a priority for us, and we'll make sure it gets there as soon as possible.
Do you have a rough sense? I mean, is this? I imagine it's no small donation. Are we talking weeks, months?
Well, that is exactly what we're discussing with the United States right now. We have a very close working relationship with the United States, and in particular, I'm very close with my colleague, Secretary Lloyd Austin. And so our teams are deliberately speaking about this over the next few days to iron out the details of the transfer. You have to remember that we're not just donating the NASAM system, we're also donating munitions. And so there may be multiple shipments involved, and that's exactly what we're ironing out in terms of details. But as you know, I am very determined to get aid to Ukraine as soon as possible. We've put on the table over $1 billion of military aid, and we have been thanked routinely by my very dear friend, Minister Alexei Reznikov, for this aid.
Yeah, I'm sure you were happy to make that particular phone call today. Just so Canadians understand what this commitment is, you talked about the fact that it's munitions as well, that it could be multiple shipments. We don't know how long this conflict is going to last. Is this essentially a one-time thing or an unlimited commitment to keep providing munitions?
We are always keeping all options on the table, and my way of operating is to have direct conversations with Minister Reznikov to hear from him specifically about what he is seeking. That's why we sent 39 armored vehicles from GDLS. That's why we've sent cameras for drones and winter clothing, in fact, because these are all items that Minister Reznikov has asked for. Similarly, with the air defense missile systems, we're doing the exact same thing. And we are with Ukraine in the short and the long term. And so I will just say all options will always be on the table in terms of our support for Ukraine and our allegiance as well to our allies, especially around the NATO table.
Obviously, the situation in Ukraine is unique. The needs are urgent. But we have been talking on this program about the domestic needs as well. The Canadian military, no air defense capability, scrambling to obtain some. The fact that you were able to do this, it seems relatively quickly, should that provide hope to General Eyre, other members of the Canadian Armed Forces, in terms of what Canada can do with its air defense?
Well, I will say we have the Defense Policy Review coming up, and we are examining exactly what capabilities Canada needs in addition to those that are set out in our defense policy, Strong, Secure, Engaged. So we will continue to ensure that the Canadian Armed Forces have what they need to protect and defend this country. And that's why we are purchasing and rolling out the Arctic Offshore Patrol ships, and that's why we're procuring the Canadian Surface Combatants, and that's why I announced yesterday the procurement of 88 F-35s for the RCAF. This is a very urgent time for the Canadian Armed Forces. We need to rebuild in terms of personnel and capabilities, and that is my full-time job 24/7.
Let's talk about those F-35s. Obviously an announcement that received a lot of attention. The full squadron, though, won't be operational until 2029. The fact that this took 7 years, do you think that jeopardized the military's combat readiness?
Well, what we needed to ensure, Catherine, is that we had a fair, open, and robust competition, a competition that Canadians could have confidence in, a process that was run with integrity and was independent. And that's what occurred, and that's what has allowed us to reach this important decision to purchase the F-35s. We will continue, as I said, to make sure that the Canadian Armed Forces have what is necessary to fight and defend this country, including in the Arctic. That's why we put on the table almost $40 billion for NORAD modernization over a 20-year period, and we're working on that as well, very closely with the United States in terms of our continental defense. So this is an ongoing process, and we'll make sure we are there every step of the way for the forces.
I can appreciate why you say that your job is to ensure that the forces have what is necessary, but we can't, for instance, participate in air policing in Romania this year because we're upgrading the CF-18. So the military doesn't necessarily have what is necessary right now, right? I mean, you're working to get it. I appreciate that. But surely a robust process doesn't have to take 7 years.
Well, a robust process needs to ensure that we receive the best plane at the best price for Canadians.
And that had to take 7 years?
It needed to make sure that there was not political interference. And I came into this job in late 2021, and my goal was to deliver for the Canadian Armed Forces. And that's one of the reasons I was very pleased to make the announcement yesterday about the purchase of the 88 aircraft. But as I said, this is an ongoing process, Catherine, and we'll keep going.
A lot of folks are looking at that clip of Justin Trudeau in 2015 saying this is the wrong plane. You are now saying it is the right plane. What do you say to Canadians who are trying to make sense of that?
In 2015, the F-35 was in its early stages, and we have had now a fair, rigorous competition. And in fact, many of our allies have since chosen the F-35, 8 countries in particular. So what we are seeing now in 2023 is a more mature aircraft where many of the technical issues have been ironed out. And we do expect by the time the first 4 aircraft arrive in 2026, that these technological issues will be ironed out. We have confidence in Lockheed Martin in this respect.
I just want to make sure I understand your stance on this, Minister. Your stance is that it was the wrong plane, but this new iteration is the right plane?
No, my stance is that in order to ascertain the best plane for Canada, a fair, rigorous, and open competition, which had multiple bidders, needed to be in place. Okay. And that was what Public Services and Procurement Canada was able to deliver for our government. And as Minister of National Defence, I'm very pleased to be able to move forward after they made that decision.
We are really up against the clock, but there's one other matter I'd like to ask you about, and this is about Canada's potential involvement in Haiti. U.S. National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said that Canada had expressed an interest in taking on a leadership role in a multinational security support force for Haitian police. Is Canada considering a boots-on-the-ground mission in Haiti?
We need to make sure that whatever aid we provide to Haiti is aid that is welcomed by Haitians. And that is what we have been discussing with our allies to make sure that any aid that we provide is useful and is respectful. We are very prudent at this time, and that is why our ambassador to the United Nations, Bob Ray, made a visit to Haiti so that he could provide us with information about how we can be helpful. So those are decisions that we are taking now, and I'd be pleased to have further conversations with you once those decisions are made. So
Mr. Sullivan says Canada is considering taking a leadership role. What I believe I hear you saying is it is too sensitive to say whether that is accurate?
You heard me say exactly what I said, that these are issues that are being under our consideration right now. We've been in very close talks with our ambassador, Bob Ray, with Ambassador Kirsten Hillman, and it's a cross-government conversation. And as I said, the decisions are to come, and I'd be happy to have a further conversation when that occurs.
We would be happy to have that conversation as well, Minister. We welcome having you back when there's some news on that. Thank you so much for your time. time.
Thank you so much. Take good care.
You too.